early. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is another edition of our weekly real estate backstory. My name is Alan Rich. I'm the managing broker here at Maximum One. We do the real estate backstory every single week. Every Monday morning at 9 a.m. is kind of when we get rolling. I hope that you enjoy kind of starting your week off with us. We sure appreciate you being with us. Normally, my partner in crime and wife, Ming, is with us, but we had coronavirus last couple of weeks, and she developed a little bit of pneumonia, so she's okay, but she is still hanging out. So she's still at the house right now. So, but that being said, we are joined today by Beth and Deborah with from Luter, Larkin and Hunter, and we are very, very blessed to have them with us today. So thank y'all for joining us, ladies.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Alan.
Sweet. Now, one thing that we've been seeing kind of a lot here lately is the escalation clause that we've seen added in. And one thing that we were hoping that you guys could kind of walk us through kind of your thoughts on the escalation clause. A lot of times, we end up seeing just a very basic version, kind of like you see on the screen. But I wasn't sure, if you guys could kind of jump in with from the attorney's point of view here. So.
Sure. Well, Beth and I talked about it last week, so I'm going to start, and then she's got some examples of things that have happened in actual contracts where people have used them, and some, issues that can come up. So, and honestly, in my entire practice, I don't remember it ever being like this, where you guys had to use an escalation clause so much of the time. And so, there are a lot of articles about it online. And, so I'm just going to kind of go over the basics, and then a few of the red flag issues that can come up. An escalation clause, of course, is where the home buyer is saying, I'm going to pay X price for this home, but if the seller receives another offer that's higher, that I'm willing to increase my price. And that's just sort of the basic thing. But you never want to put anything that wide open in a contract, because there's a lot of details, like how much do you want to go up, increments, what's your cap. So an escalation clause works like you're showing your hand basically once you do that. So there's pros and cons. So you are showing your hand there. Some sellers won't accept an offer with an escalation clause. They just want the buyer to put in the contract what they're willing to pay for it and not have to think about it. So you might want to know that ahead of time. Of course, then the other hand, it motivates buyers to outbid each other, and the seller can end up with more than their asking price. You want to know if there's definitely going to be multiple offers before you just throw that out. I guess on the buyer's agent side, it's a lot of homework to see if that's going to be the case.
Having that conversation beforehand is really smart.
Really good, right? And there are issues. It can be issues with, even if let's say you do that and you get the house, you could have a problem with the appraisal then, So right. There's that. And then has the seller's agent stated if there's going to be a 1-day review of all the offers they get, or is it going to be multiple rounds? So you just kind of want to know, if as much as you can find out ahead of time. Each situation is going to be unique, and buyers need to be really comfortable with that cap that they put in there. We have some language that if people are, Beth's going to talk about it, but there's some good language online, and then we've kind of adjusted it a little bit and added some more caveats to it to protect the buyer. But one of the things you want to make sure is that when you put in an escalation clause, that you're talking about the seller competing against sellers only bona fide offers. So what if if you don't put that, the seller could have their best friend make a offer just to bump up the price, or a relative. You want to have a bona fide offer. You also want to make sure that you say that there are bona fide and other qualified offers, because you don't want to compete with somebody that just throws in a contract and won't ever get a loan to buy the house. So you want to make sure that's in there. Also, if your buyer is going to be financing, you want to make sure your buyer's offer is very clearly contingent on financing, again, for a lot of reasons, including the increased price. What if it doesn't appraise? And then the last thing is that I'm going to touch on is confidentiality. How are you going to know what the other buyer offered? A seller can't give you that contract. You can't see private, that information is private. So you can either ask for a front page or the contract maybe with redacted information like the names, and maybe not all their maybe not privy to their financing contingency amendment and things like that. So you have to think about all of that, because the seller can come back and say, well, yeah, I got an offer for X dollars, so now you have to pay me more, but you need to make sure that they can prove it. And all of that, all those what ifs have to be addressed in your escalation clause. And so it's a little, you have to be careful, and we're happy to help, depending on the situation, with some of that language. And so now I'm going to turn it over to Beth, where she's had some deals that have included that clause.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have one. So just when you're drafting these, like Deborah was saying, you just need to be really careful with the language. It shouldn't just be a 1 or 2 sentence special stipulation that doesn't have definitions and isn't clearly defined. You want to be really careful with how it's drafted. So if any
That's
of you
what we're
guys
seeing a lot of.
Yeah, if any of y'all need help, reach out to us, because we're happy to help draft one or edit one that that's already been drafted, because it's just really important. I had an agent come to me with one, and the net proceeds wasn't clearly defined. So it just said, if seller gets another offer that results in seller's net proceeds being higher, then we'll increase the sales price. Well, the problem with that, without clearly defining what is net proceeds, is all sorts of things could affect the seller's net proceeds. So just changing the closing date can affect the seller's net proceeds, because if the closing's delayed, or if one offer takes longer than the other, every day of that is the seller's payoff increasing. Then you do contribution to closing cost, or if the seller has to provide a termite letter or a home warranty, does that affect their net proceeds? So you just want to be sure that every little piece of your special stip in your escalation clause has a definition, so that it's clear that everybody's on the same page, because all sorts of things could affect those net proceeds. So for example, in a draft that I have, we define net proceeds as, let's see, and it's calculating the contract sales price less seller contribution to closing costs and seller concession. So it's clear it's not affected by the closing date changing or any other factor that could affect that. It's just the sales price, contribution to closing, and any seller concessions. So things like that can just really, if it's not clearly defined, it could cause a lot of headaches and problems down the road once you're under contract. And on the same terms, it's not always comparing apples to apples. So a sales price, but with a lot more seller concessions, could affect the seller proceeds. So we're seeing that some sellers, if they get an escalation clause, that buyer show in their hand, and the seller knows how high the buyer could actually go, and they might just counter just with the full cap of the buyer's escalation clause, because the buyer really is kind of losing a lot of negotiating power when they do that.
Yeah, but we're fighting so many multiple offer scenarios. I know why we're seeing a lot of this right now.
Right.
Just because, especially and we're seeing this in our, it's hard to say value properties, but anything under 250 is, to a large extent, we're seeing escalation clauses used more now. And like Deb said earlier, than I've ever seen either, kind of thing, as far as that. And the challenge is we're seeing just the wide gamut of a one line, like my buyer will beat any offer kind of escalation clause. There's some that are so detailed and to where it makes it almost confusing for the seller to make sense. Now, can they reach out? Can agents reach out to you at Max One VIP at Luter Law in order to ask questions on this and to get some help with writing escalation clauses?
Absolutely. We thought about giving you one to post up on the screen today, but like Beth said, every situation is different, and that would not be good. We wouldn't be doing our job if we just said, "Oh, here it is for every deal." We can't do that.
Yeah.
But we'd be glad to help.
All right, so I just want everyone to catch that if you need assistance with an escalation clause, Max One VIP at Luter Law, it's the same email address if you're going to send contracts over to them to handle. But if you'll just shoot them over your situation, your scenario, Deb, Beth, and their whole team are going to jump on this and be able to help you get these escalation clauses done and written properly to really help protect you, to help protect your client if you are going to use one. And so I think this is a really wonderful benefit for being able to have a great partnership with an attorney firm. And we love our relationship with them. And if you don't have a relationship with a good attorney, please jump in with these ladies because they are amazing. So sorry, I'll be done with my
Thank you,
props,
Alan. Well, we really appreciate you guys and love working with you. And if it's okay to say this, we do have the Max One VIP. All of the contracts can be worked up by Beth and I and our team, and then it can close at any of our offices, any of our 23 locations, plus the Fayetteville Max One office, where we have an office and a conference room there. So if the folks are writing up a contract and they just want to email it to the Max One VIP and in the email tell us where they want to close, we'll be sure and take care of everything for you.
Oh, that's great, because being able to close anywhere around the city is a great benefit, but also having that go-to of these are the folks handling your file and you can speak to a human being and the service that we get, that's a huge benefit. So thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity, Alan. And I hope Ming is feeling better soon.
Yeah.
Me too. So
I know.
it's weird for me to be flying solo. So thank you guys for being with me. And you're welcome
Great
to hang
job.
out. We're just going to all right. Here we go. All right, so I am going to kind of jump on ahead here, and I kind of want to start off with, or not start off, but move into, we had the Super Bowl last night. So if you stayed up and watched the Super Bowl, it left me thinking about the correlations between how hard it is to get to the Super Bowl and what it is like to do real estate. And there's a lot of very similar attributes, kind of thing. And so the very first thing that really struck me was it takes practice to get here. You got to be a master of your craft. You have to be serious about practicing your craft, and you have to work at it, kind of thing. It requires hard work. No one gets to the Super Bowl without working hard. And if you got into real estate because you just wanted to look at pretty houses, well, guess what, Buttercup? This isn't going to be the right industry for you, kind of thing. Because I don't know anyone that knocks them dead that doesn't work really hard. So you got to get in, you got to work really, really hard. There's a famous quote by Vince Lombardi that says, "It's not whether you get knocked down, it's whether you get back up." And see, in real estate, you're going to get knocked down. And if you choose to stay down, the universe doesn't care, kind of thing. So if you're going to persevere, it's up to you to do that, because you got to stay really calm in times of stress. I mean, when you see what these quarterbacks are having to go through during a game, and everyone's coming at them in 5,000 different areas, kind of thing, and you've got to stay calm. And because a real estate transaction is one of the most stressful things that people can do, and we have to be that calming force during that time. The other thing you need to do to be successful is you got to have a game plan. You have to have some plan for how you're going to win the game. And it doesn't happen by accident. No one got to the Super Bowl because they're like, you know what, I think I'll just throw the ball around some and see how that works. There is a game plan for how they're going to be successful. And if you don't have a business plan for your business, well, then all you know is just chucking the ball around the yard, and you're not really going to do it. So remember that it takes a team to win. Last night it kind of seemed like the whole world was about those two different quarterbacks, kind of thing. And of course, I like the old guy being the old guy. I got to throw out props for the old guy. But remember that it takes a team to win. And so having folks like Deb and Beth, and as well as our home inspectors, and having that entire team of folks that helps you get to the end zone is really, really crucial. And so the last thing I'm really going to encourage you is that you got to get up early and start early. You got to get up and roll. Tom Brady starts every Monday morning at 5 a.m. I start every Monday at 5 a.m. And so, a lot of folks are like, well, I don't do real estate. No one's buying a house before 9. Well, you got a lot of stuff that you can get done beforehand. You'll find that the folks that get up and get rolling, those are the folks who have some of the greatest success in the real estate world. So I am going to encourage you to take those attributes and apply them to your business. It's really, really important kind of thing. Now, CE classes that we have coming up this next week. So today we have Contracts Offer and Acceptance, which is a Contracts 101 class. Tuesday, we have 2 different classes. We have Licensed Law for Agents and Brokers, and that's it might be by me, it might be by me. We're not real sure who's going to do that one yet. And we also have How to Become Lender Ready and Leverage Business Credit, which is a great class. On Wednesday, we have Georgia Molest is presenting Building a CMA using Paragon, and that's one of those skills that is crucial for real estate agents to be able to use this to create a CMA properly. Also on Wednesday, starting at 1, we have advertising, personal branding, online marketing, GREC, and the law. So all those are coming up. You can find all those at mx1training.com. So today is going to be a lot of data. So I'm going to start sharing some of the stuff that we have on our up here. And so I just I've got a lot of different real estate data I'd like to share with everyone. And so I'm going to kind of run you through because there's just a lot of information that came out this past week. And so first of all, housing supply in rural areas continues to drop. It's down 44%, which is really driving overall shortage of homes. Right now, we have our lowest inventory levels ever. And a lot of that is attributable to homes in the rural area. If you had a home in the rural area in the past couple of years, you may have thought, I need this much, our average marketing time is going to be longer. No, in the rural areas, it is down big time. And so we're continuing to see a big shift and a big drive into the rural areas. Now, that doesn't mean that urban's dead or suburban is dead. That doesn't mean that at all, but we are seeing a big push for that right now. So that being said, mortgage applications went up last week. That they had dropped for 2 weeks down, but we're starting already to see the spring market really starting to fly off the market, off the shelf. So mortgage apps are up. Interest rates held at 2.73 last week, which is still really, really good. I don't foresee them going down any farther. I'm going to encourage you to have your clients get them pre-approved and get them locked in because I don't see them going down anymore kind of thing. As a matter of fact, we're really expecting them to start. I'm not going to say they're going to be inching up, but it wouldn't surprise me if we don't move back into the 3s here pretty soon and start moving towards that way. So unemployment came down a little bit last week. That continues to look a little bit better. We had the manufacturing index, which it rose to its highest level in 2.5 years in December. And that was really, really good. We're in on 7 months of manufacturing growth, and that is really, really important. And so it's great to see what's happening with our economy and how that continues to move forward there. Atlanta is listed as the 4th best MSA in terms of absolute growth. So here in the Atlanta area, we have a positive growth of 717,000 people over the last 10 years, which is probably the 4th highest in the nation. Now, where those folks are coming from, we are fairly even. About, almost a little bit more than a third are from people that are coming in naturally, just a natural increase, just because Atlanta has a lot of great attributes. We also have domestic migration, people come from other areas around us, kind of thing, of about a quarter. And then we are still a international hub. We have a lot of folks coming in from outside of the U.S. And so Atlanta continues to be a very positive area, which is really good for our growth and for where we're heading into the future. So I really like that, you know. Atlanta continues to perform really, really well as far as, you know, the number of folks moving into Atlanta. So last week, it was last week, I believe, FMLS held an event, and they had several several speakers that came to it. And so I kind of went through their, you know, they shared their slides, and so I brought some of their slides because some of it, you know, I just kind of filtered, everything went through the Allen filter. And so I wanted to share kind of the information that I got from FMLS with you guys, and kind of talk about where we're heading on certain things, and talk about some of the different points that came out. So one of the speakers was Dr. Lawrence Young. He's the chief economist for National Association of Realtors. And so he showed us the very first thing is that jobs recovery needs another 9.8 million to get us to where we were. But you can see that it is moving overall in the right direction. And you might think, well, that's still pretty bad. But when you actually look at it here in Atlanta, things are looking a lot better. You can see that we are really close to where we were pre-coronavirus kind of thing. Matter of fact, it's overall, you know, this is how the U.S. is across the board. And you can see that Georgia is only down 1.7% from where we were a year ago. So the fact that we are only down 1.7%, it's actually one of the best rates in the entire nation. And so that's a really great place for us to be. You know, jobs are looking much better here in the Atlanta area. And even though jobs aren't necessarily directly related to housing, it does affect our overall economy very much so. And so that is still a really solid thing for us to have. Also, one other thing that he shared was that the savings rate is elevated. You can see where the savings rate is since 2017. And then what happened when the coronavirus came? Boom, we all locked down our spending and started saving more money. And so it's almost double where it was beforehand. People have started freeing up a little bit, spending a little bit more, but still the savings rate in the US is about double where it was pre-coronavirus and for many years before that as well. And so that's really good, because we know that one of the biggest challenges for buying your first home is having that down payment, being able to save for that. So that's a really good thing for us. Speaking about first-time buyers and that kind of stuff, and if you are working with renters, this is something, you know, I encourage you to steal this slide and share this slide. This is the net worth of homeowners versus the net worth of renters. And the yellow is 2019 actual estimate, and the blue is the 2021 estimate by NAR. So if you are a renter, your average net worth is around $17,000. And if you are a homeowner, your average net worth is around $280,000, something like that. So just being part of the homeowner world raises your average net worth. You know, here in the US, net worth is highly derived from the value that you have in real estate of your personal home. So much of Americans' wealth is tied up into home ownership. So if you want to help someone get a leg up, if you want to help someone make a difference in their life, get them to stop being a renter and buy a home. So I know that's a very easy thing to throw out there, but you know, for a lot of us, it's about educating our clients. We really need our renters to know, look, home ownership is a big deal. It's where wealth comes from. And so if you keep paying other people's mortgages, you know, you're not going to get ahead. You're helping them to get ahead. So I do encourage you to share this with your renters. I think that's a really great slide. Now, one other thing that he shared with us is that housing starts is moving after 13 years of underproduction. Because right now you'll see a lot of people out there that are talking about, gosh, the market is oh, the market's going to drop, things are going to crash, the housing is a bubble. Wrong. And if you look at this, you can see why. We haven't had enough production to meet demand for 13 years. And for several years, it was way under demand. Like during the 08, 09, 2010, there was hardly no construction going on at all. So we have had all these 13 years where we haven't built enough houses to match demand. At the same time, our average millennial, which is the highest, the largest buying segment out there, are millennials. And the average millennial is now 28 years old. However, the average first-time buyer age is 33. And so over the next 5 years, our millennials, the largest group of millennials will be moving into first-time buyer age between now and the next 5 years. The largest buying segment, the largest group of the largest buying segment is going to be moving into first-time buyer age. So when you put together, we've had 13 years of underproduction, and we have the biggest buying group coming in right now. Housing is not in a bubble. It's supply versus demand, and we have way more demand than we have supply to meet. So our economic forecast by the National Association of Realtors kind of thing, so they're predicting a GDP growth of about 4%, job gains of around 3 million. They're looking at the 10-year Treasury holding at 1%, and why that is important is because our mortgage rates follow the 10-year Treasury. Mortgage rates don't follow the Fed lending rate kind of thing. They follow the 10-year Treasury. And so 1% is a very modest increase, and that's kind of what we're going to be seeing over the next year, I believe. Now, what that means into the housing market, they're looking at mortgage rates running about 3.1. We're at 2.7 now, so you can see I kind of agree with them that we are going to be moving back into the 3% range. New home sales are going to be up about 23%. I think we need that. We need more new construction out there. Existing home sales are going to be up about 9%, and they're only looking at a home price increase of around 3%. And we kind of, we are going to start seeing that level out simply because we compare last year to this year, and prices really started moving up right and moving into the summer months, late spring. So as we start getting back to that point, we'll start seeing prices start looking like they're flattening out when really we took a big jump last year. So that's kind of what we're seeing. Now, they also had another economist, John Hunt, that came and he spoke also about some shifts that's going on in housing demand out there. And basically he talked about, you have 3 types of buyers: first-time buyers, move-up buyers, and retiree buyers right now. And of those 3 groups, the retiree buyers, first of all, are 55 isn't what it used to be, because you can see this is Tom Cruise at 55 in Mission Impossible Fallout. And here you can see Wilford Brimley back in 1985 at age 50. So, I hope I look a lot more like Tom Cruise. I don't look anything like Tom Cruise, but I can wish I looked like Tom Cruise at 55. And I want to look less like Wilford Brimley. No offense, Wilford. At the same time, these folks are having a lot of disposable income, no income. They're very entertainment oriented, and location is really important to them. So what we're seeing is new townhome sales have been going steadily for the last 7 years. We're continuing to see that. Yes, we are seeing a push to move out to the rural areas, but at the same time, we're seeing townhomes being one of the big solutions to housing that we need right now. But it's not just townhomes. Anything less than 2,000 square foot, from 1,250 to 1,750 is kind of the sweet spot in there, because we have 2 of the biggest consumer groups converging in the middle on those square footages. But our challenge with that is we have a lot of areas that zoning prohibits these. And so, but I think that we're going to have to start seeing this coming up really soon. We are seeing overall permits are looking really good right now. New construction permitting and pre-planning has been kind of really, really charging ahead. You can see where we're looking at right now. we need a lot more new construction, but we are going to start seeing a lot more multifamily mixed in there with us, kind of thing. So, all right. I want to talk really quickly here is that Coldwell Banker, they fought off one lawsuit and then got hit up by another. And the reason that they're getting sued is agents are cold calling people who are on the do not call list. So if you are going to cold call, you have to make sure that you are running your calls through the do not call registry. It is important that you're doing that because we're seeing where folks are getting fed up, they're getting agitated. And so we need to make sure that we are following the rules with cold calling kind of thing. So no unsolicited calls to anyone on the do not call list kind of thing. We need to make sure that we are doing things the right way. And so I really don't want to see anybody out there getting sued. I sure don't want to be. So I'm telling you straight up, you need to make sure that we are only calling folks that are on the do not that aren't on the do not call list. And it's very easy to get that. All the different cold calling softwares and that kind of stuff all give you the option of being able to filter through the do not call registry, and you need to check through that. But at the same time, you can also bypass that. And so this is not an issue that I have. This happened out in California, but I can tell you if it's happening in California, it's happening in Georgia too. So make sure that you're being smart. All right, I want to wrap up with two personal, but for Maximum One agents. First one is that we're rolling out a new intranet, MaxOneWorks.com. All the agents will be getting an email inviting them into our new intranet. It's where our calendar is going to be, agent directory, where you can talk to agents back and forth. You'll be able to find all of our training videos. You'll be able to ask support questions. You'll be able to log into all of our affiliates, all the tools that we have and all the systems that are out there kind of thing, as well as being able to interact and chat. And so all that's going to be happening. Workplace is going to be going away. And so we have decided to roll out this new MaxOneWorks.com, and please look out for your email coming into a mailbox near you. All right, last thing, I'm feeling, even though coronavirus has been here for a while, one thing I want to start doing is if you'd like to chat, I'm going to start hanging out after Backstory on Mondays at maxone.rocks/chat. This is a Zoom. You're welcome to, and I encourage you to please come in right after Backstory. I'm going to fire this up. And if you want to have a cup of coffee with me, chat, talk about things, ask any kind of questions, love to have you, love to engage with you. I just want you to know that I'm here for you. If we can be of any service, call, text, smoke signals, please join me at maxone.rocks/chat. So I hope you guys had a great, that this was helpful. Hope this was a good way to start your week. If I can be of any service, please let me know. Deb, Beth, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks again, Alan.
There any parting thoughts? Anything?
Nope.
All right. That sounds
let
great.
us know if you need anything.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.